Hi guys, welcome to Trade Time. This is episode 2. We managed to make another one. We didn't break it with Jordan on the last version. So we're back for episode 2. Trade Time is a new podcast and video series that we're putting out on YouTube, and it should shortly be on Spotify as well, which will investigate UK reptile shop ownership and what it takes to be a shop owner. The idea is to tap into the experiences of reptile centre owners around the UK. Often shop owners are maligned as being profit hungry, only interested in making the sale, not really invested in the reptiles. And this is a bit of a myth that needs to be busted, because I know the majority, if not all, of the shop owners that I speak to in this series will be very keen to realign people's minds when it comes to this subject matter. So, we want to look at what got people their start. How hard has it been, or does it continue to be? Are they in love with the animals that they keep? And we just want to see where we go. Over time, this series will develop, and we want to talk to manufacturers and product developers as well. But for the first certain 15 episodes of this, I envisage it is going to be shop owners, and then we'll start to try and mix in the manufacturers as well to try and keep things fresh. But without further ado, it is my privilege to introduce quite possibly what I believe to be one of the most dynamic shops in the UK. And it is spearheaded by Mr. Baiden Greatorex of Slitherin Reptiles Limited. Hello, Baiden.
Hello, you're all right, mate.
Yeah, I'm not too bad.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you ever so much for joining me.
No, my pleasure, honestly.
I'm really excited to do this one because, having visited your store and had the opportunity to speak to you, I find you a really, really interesting guy. And
thank you.
Well, and this, with no offense, it's probably obvious to people on the camera, you're quite a young man.
I am.
And yet you have made incredible strides in this trade in a relatively short period of time. And that dynamism as a shop owner, you respect. So, but that aside, we need to get the first section out, which is the bit where we introduce your shop. And we need to know, are you open 7 days a week? Live foods delivery days, dry good delivery days? Can we park at your shop, or is it public transport? Do you carry a full range of reptiles and any other services you provide? So take it away, bro.
Yeah, so I'm Baiden Greatorex, Managing Director here at Slitherin Reptiles Limited. We are Leicestershire's largest reptile shop, so we are based at the Springboard Business Centre in Colville, Leicester. The postcode for anyone that wants to come see us is LE67 3DW. We are open 7 days a week. Our live food delivery days we have 3 deliveries a week. So we have Tuesday, the staff are just unpacking one right now. So Tuesday, we've Thursdays and also Saturday mornings for live food. In terms of other dry goods, they'll all pretty much come throughout the week. So whenever they turn up, pallet deliveries will also turn up throughout. We kind of specialize in all reptile products, and anything reptile and invertebrate related, we'll kind of be all over it. When it comes to typical pet goods and things like that as well, don't want anything to do with it. It's not anything to do with our business plan. Colville, in the town that we're in, also features 3 other pet shops, including the Good Old Pets at Home and 2 other locally independent pet shops as well. So to try and not flood the market, we're going to keep to our reptile specialism anyway. There used to be an aquatic store as well down the road from us as well. So having a kind of reptile kind of shop in Colville is kind of like perfect. In terms of parking as well, if anyone wants to come over and visit us, that would be absolutely wonderful. But yeah, parking, it's all free car parking here. Literally, if you come in by bus, then the bus station is literally right outside Memorial Square.
Okay.
And then so there's all sorts of routes and travel in terms of getting here from Derby, Nottingham, Leicester. It's literally like half an hour, if that. So, but yeah, we've got plenty of other things cracking on with the business. I'm literally moving into a new premises as we speak, when actually there's expansion to where we currently are. And then where we are currently at the minute is my office, and it's also our dedicated health check room that we offer. So we bring customers in here. So that wants an animal assessment, beak trims on tortoises, nail clippings, etc., brumation advice, internal parasite testings, etc. We'll do it all in this room. So you kind of come in, you get a one-to-one service with myself or one of my senior leadership team. We'll kind of make sure that everything's well spoken about. And obviously, if an animal comes in looking like it's an absolute bag of bones and we can't do anything with it, then they will then be recommended to our preferred vet. And then obviously we can try and help where we can in all kind of aspects as well. So you can basically contact us on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram. We have someone on that page all the time. If you haven't checked us out, please do. And then if you wanted to give us a call, give us the shop a call on 01530 277 834. Again, we are open 7 days a week, and we'll be looking forward to hear if anyone has any questions or whatever after this kind of meeting with myself and Chaz or anything like that as well. Be looking forward to getting to know a couple of you anyway. So, but yes, anyway, Chaz, how's your day been?
Not too bad, not too bad. As you can see, I'm at home. I've swapped the permanent residence at the reptile shop because I've got a gammy knee and I've got it laid up on the sofa.
Yeah.
Because I may have consumed or imbibed one too many alcoholic beverages over the Christmas period.
Yeah, Christmas, mate. It's what it's there for.
It's decided to make gout detonate in my knee.
God bless you, mate.
Hilarious. So have you got a good vet near you as well? I mean,
yeah. So I really get on with our vet anyway. So our vet's Craig Hunt over at Sileby. The vet's practice is called Chime House Veterinary Surgery.
Okay.
Absolutely brilliant. I've been a customer of them ever since day dot when I first started keeping reptiles. I kind of got my first pet snake and then registered it straight at the vets just in case anything was there to happen. But that, thankfully, touch wood, that snake has never needed to go see the vet ever. But there's been a couple of times we've needed to go see the vets and stuff like that as well. And he's an absolute diamond to have. And he's probably from here, he's 20 minutes away from here. So, and it's good because a lot of people struggle with having kind of a decent reptile exotic vet near them. And I think this is kind of why this kind of health check room and stuff like that as well has taken off so well. So customers can make a booking but you did make a booking, we'll check on the animal's health. It's a little bit underweight, a bit lethargic and stuff. We'll give you some electrolyte boosters and whatnot. We'll get you a little bit of like a feeding plan and like that as well. And then what we'll do, we'll put you in for a 4 weeks time. We'll get in, weigh the animal again, see the condition on it and stuff like that as well. So it's very similar to kind of what the vet practice does without just the medicational side of things. But again, it's really good. It gives you that one-to-one personal kind of contact with the customer, which is, I think, what a lot of places are lacking. If you bring your animal in, you're kind of showing it to everyone else. And if you're going around saying, oh, your animal's got mites or whatever the problem is with that particular reptile, then the person can feel quite kind of looked down on. So it's good if you've got kind of like an enclosed room and we can kind of chat through it. It's normally a typical health check lasts 15, 20 minutes. And I'll be more than happy to go through every single aspect on every reptile that we see, talking about scute levels, marginal growth, right? All that kind of cool stuff, which is what fascinates me so much about reptiles, and kind of I think what got me to running Slytherin Reptiles, which was, well, we've been doing this for years, since 2014, I'd say. But yeah, it's been absolutely insane. The process.
I mean, having visited your store, I mean, and seen your office.
Yes, thanks for dropping in on me. I always let you know when I'm coming over to see you, and you just walk through the door like, "Hey, where's Baiden?" I was like, "I'm in the office." And Mark rang me. He was like, "Oh yeah, come on over. Chaz is in the shop." I was like, "Oh, brilliant! I'll come on over." Yeah. Thank you very much.
I just snuck in, ninja style, guerrilla tactics. Make sure that you keep you on your toes. But when I came to the store, I was incredibly impressed. One, with the layout of the store. The store's a lovely shop, really well presented, very, very clean, very impressive. But I was really, really impressed with the room that you're sat in now, which is the office and the assessment room for the animals. Superbly professional. I mean, way beyond me and what we do at ours. And it's one of those things where you go, yeah, that's the way it should be done. If you haven't been, as another shop owner, I was thoroughly impressed with Slytherin, and it'd definitely be a place worth going. I mean, what got you into the hobby? What started you off?
Mate,
you're probably too young for it to be a job that became a passion. So I'm thinking it's a passion that then became a job, I would assume.
Yeah, 100%. Like having a passion in reptiles and then wanting to work with them, it has to kind of come that way in fold anyway. But I remember I was probably 5, 6 years old, walking around every kind of zoo that I can see. Oh my God, look at that reptile, that's cool. And then lo and behold, we walked into a pet shop and there was these little kind of snakes and stuff. And I was like, now that is a cool pet. Being 6, 7 years old, kind of infatuating myself with thinking, oh, I can't own a pet dinosaur now. So I think a snake or a lizard is going to be like the next best, coolest thing. And I can keep that. My parents weren't very productive or supportive with the idea, especially my mum. She was going to hate me saying that, but with the idea of letting me have a pet snake, Jesus Christ, no, that was not on the cards at all. And I think that kind of gave me the incentive to want to learn more about it, kind of prove why I can look after this snake. And we see it all the time here in the retail store where parents go, no, you're not having it or whatever. And I kind of say to the kids, like, you've got to prove to your parents why you want it, why you can look after it. It's, at the end of the day, it's your pet. And that's what we want to see with them. Obviously, obviously the parents are the ones spending the money on the animals, but it's the kids that are the ones that are going to be looking after them at the end of the day. So that's what I want to pioneer here. So yeah, kind of looking at this little, I think it was a corn snake actually, which was the first thing I ever fell in love with. I still have that snake to this day. I actually got it for a Christmas present, but how actually I found out I was getting this snake actually, which is absolutely a crazy story, was now on my birthday, because we was going on holiday at this point, just after my birthday. So on my birthday, I unboxed this little kind of tub, and it was really cold when I was undoing all the wrapping paper. And inside this kind of freezer tub laid 6-day-old pinky mice that were frozen. And then I opened it. I was like, oh my God, what are these little mice for? And then my mum says, oh, okay, I've got you a snake. You've just got to go down to the pet shop and choose it. And that was it. It was the best day of my life, the best month of my life, and probably the best year of my life ever being a child, I would definitely imagine. I waltzed into this reptile shop full of beans, wanting to choose my little corn snake. And there was at least 32 different ones to choose from, all ones that have just been newly hatched and all kind of clumped up together and stuff like that as well. Lo and behold, I chose a normal corn snake. So, and then I was like, yeah, I want that one. It was the smallest one. So I thought I can watch it grow to the biggest one. Then they told me, obviously, it won't be ready for a couple of weeks. I was like, okay, that's fine, because I'm going on holiday anyway. So, so that's cool. We can just let it go in. And then it was 6 weeks. They wanted it until the snake had six successful feeds. And then I could come and pick it up, which was good. So I used to be in every single week looking at the snake. It was okay.
Has it fed?
Has it fed? I'm like, what's up with it? And to be fair, I was probably really irritating to that shop owner when I went in. But at the end of the day, I was just so excited that obviously I've spent weeks and months kind of planning out and proving why I should own a snake and why I can do it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I remember after getting a pet corn snake and moving into wanting like royal pythons and boa constrictors and stuff like that as well, and moving into lizards and stuff, that I used to sit down and make like PowerPoint presentations for my family on kind of why reptiles are so awesome, why I should be given a boa constrictor, and so on and so on. And then
here's the value added to my life. Here is the value added.
This is how my life. Keep your son happy, man. That's the biggest thing. But it was really kind of my grandparents that kind of solidified my interest in them. Not just business wise, and that's kind of how I got into the position of where we are today. They have their own businesses and stuff like that as well, talking about self-assessment returns, VAT returns, and all things that goes along with being self-employed. Running a limited company was kind of standard practice as being a child inside of our household. So that was kind of the norm, really.
A good education then, really. A good education.
I'd say so. In terms of my education though, I did all right, to be fair, in my GCSEs and stuff like that as well. I was during my GCSEs, I was running Slytherin Reptiles. It was a business. So Slytherin was given to me as a birthday present. As you'll go onto company's house, type in your business name and register it. I was given Slytherin Reptiles Limited as my 16th birthday present. And then kind of, here you go, Baiden, because we were breeding snakes and stuff. We were selling snakes and stuff to pet shops and privately and whatever. And I always kind of liked the name Slytherin. So I thought, right, what we'll do is, I wanted it anyway. I wanted it spelled Slitherin instead of the Harry Potter way, so they would have come on my back. So what we did is we kind of changed it that way. And then that was it. From my 16th birthday, that was it. I was company director pretty much.
That is a huge, like, not to interrupt, that's a huge show of faith from your was it your grandparents or your parents?
Yeah, it was my grandparents that did that.
So I mean, that's a huge show of faith. You know, we're gonna, you know, we can tell how passionate you are. We can see that you've got a future in this. So we're gonna set up a limited company for you for your 16th birthday. I mean, Jesus, most kids want a PS3. They just want a PS3. They don't.
I think that's another thing. Like, obviously, Xboxes, kind of PlayStations, that kind of thing, which is what I should have been doing when I was that kind of age. But I've never had one. I've always been Reptiles 100% out of the way. And I think once Slytherin did turn into a business, I was like, okay, great. Now I've got to find an accountant. And then my grandparents said, okay, you can have our accountant and then we can do that way. But this is long before the days of when we was in Xero and all that kind of stuff. There's our accountancy software platform that I'm in religiously now anyway. But it was all done on paper. It was like a proper balance sheet, cash in and out and stuff like that as well. I remember our first year of accounts wasn't particularly brilliant. Obviously, me just doing it on the side because I was still at school. But this was people that we were setting up kind of pre-loved ads and stuff. Like, I've just hashed out some leopard geckos or some big dragons and stuff. Blah blah blah. Make a contact with me. Okay, brilliant. And I'll just mark it down as a legitimate business. Like we were pet shop registered as well. Which was good because obviously I wanted to make sure that we had all the legalities and stuff and like that sorted as well, being a business as well. So we did it kind of stuff. I remember the first year we gave the accountant all the papers up to here. It was absolutely huge. We gave, everything was handwritten. I printed off every single kind of invoice, purchase, whatever. And then, so lo and behold, the days now, I just go on my phone and the staff get on their phone, write their names on the receipts and just snap it off. And off it goes to the cloud to be sorted out and whatever. Now that's how it works. But no, honestly, the first year was really kind of crazy. And obviously everyone kind of thinking, I think they wanted to do it for me because I've always had a passion of wanting a reptile shop. It's always ever what I've wanted to do, just work in a reptile shop, work with these animals, and either kind of like abroad. I was like, I'm gonna become a herpetologist and go out and study these awesome reptiles abroad and do all of that kind of cool stuff. That's what I want to do. And then as I kind of dove more into the educational side of things, and then obviously having that, I went to college, I did all the animal care stuff and things. But while I was there, it was the kind of fact that I wasn't learning anything new. And mammals don't really particularly bother me. Bar my African pygmy hedgehog, I do love her, and my 2 English bulldogs. But other animals don't really particularly do it for me as much. So I'm sat there learning about horses and goats and all that kind of stuff as well, and the anatomy of whatever animal. And I'm like, still not a snake, mate. So and I was just there like, it was kind of sucking the life out of me. And I, during our lunch breaks and stuff like that as well, while my mates and stuff would be hanging out and whatever, I was sat there on a table with a laptop making phone calls to customers. I remember selling a matrix blood python over my lunch break at college, eating some cheesy chips and some barbecue sauce. But it's things like that. Like, and then it got to the point where I decided, I got to my first module, which was working with the reptiles at the college. And I was like, this is amazing. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see it, what they have. And it was just full of royals and corn snakes and bearded dragons. I was like, okay, that's still cool, but I can still work with these. But I know everything about them. There's nothing here to kind of test me up on that. They had Colombian rainbow boas and some bits like that as well, and iguana and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But then it got to the point with it, they started to obviously realize I had a serious interest in exotics. And I got talking to obviously some of the animal care technicians and stuff like that as well. And I asked them at this point, because we had all the wholesaler accounts by this point. So I was basically geared up to pull off a massive contract with the college, and I could see the potential of what I could do with that. And go, right, I'll set you up a brand new reptile room. I can supply you frozen rodents and all your live insects for you on a weekly basis. Not a problem. I'll just bring it on the bus with me. So that was the kind of idea I had. So I was like, brilliant. So I ended up speaking to one of the care technicians and go, right, where'd you get your live food from? And inevitably she told me. And then what I did, so it was an online company. And then what I did was I then went back onto the laptop, made sure I could kind of borderline compete with that. And luckily we did. So I then asked the college manager of the animal care department to, if they would like to hold a meeting with me, as I would like to become the college's new supplier for reptile equipment. And I was still studying at this point. I think I made it in 3 months into the college before asking. And this is a 2-year course. And I was like, oh my God. It was a really formal meeting. I think it was probably one of my first proper business meetings. You sit down with obviously a prospective client and you've got to go through. Right, I had it all planned out. It took me at least a week to damn all the college work. That all got put aside. But making the proposal on how much I'm going to save them a year in bugs, what the extra benefit of my bugs are going to be, the rodents are going to be, obviously me being there for the transition of 2 years, I can keep a closer eye on stuff like that as well. And I also pitched the fact that I don't like what the animal care technicians are actually saying to the students, so can we just tweak it a little bit, and kind of make the information correct, and which they lapped on board, which I really wasn't expecting it to, obviously.
So it's 16 as a student.
Yes.
In the first year of this course, you managed to orchestrate a takeover of their live foods and dry goods supply to the college. Oh, we've lost your sound, mate. Are you back on? You've muted it. Let's see if we can get him to come back on. I don't know what's going on with the sound. Let me pause it. Sorry, guys, we had a bit of a technical breakdown. I don't know what quite happened, but the sound just seemed to disappear. We've got it back though now. So, yeah. So, Baiden, just to confirm, you at 16, first year of college, you thought, you know, I've got this little business, this little side hustle going on. I'm going to do a pitch. And I'm going to supply you with live foods, dry goods, which to me is just absolutely astounding.
Yeah, we did, yeah, and it worked.
Oh.
Yeah, I still have them to this day.
No,
which is great. And then obviously the route of business comes colleges talk to each other and then whatever. Then I ended up going for some other meetings at some other colleges and stuff and picking them up. So yeah, honestly, it kind of just branched off, but. I mean, taking it, the roots further back, even before I did that and pull the college off. The first kind of real business venture I think I ever really kind of plucked up wasn't just the breeding of reptiles and stuff like that as well and producing my own stock, but I decided to think about, well, obviously I'm still in high school doing my GCSEs and I've got this little business going on. It's doing relatively okay after school and people are coming over, etc. a couple of times a week to pick up a birdie or a new corn snake or a royal that we've just bred and stuff. But really kind of thinking about, I do want a pet shop. And I walked into one of the old pet shops in Colville. It was called Colville Pet Supplies. And they didn't have anything to do with reptiles in there. So I asked this lovely woman and says, right, I want to put a load of reptiles into your shop. You don't have to pay for any of it. He said, I will pay for all the racking, all the products, all the reptiles and stuff. Just let me have that little corner there where you're not really doing much with it, and I'll have that. And then every week you can have your percentage cut. So technically we was kind of concessioning that pet shop. So she thought, well, obviously, it's free money, isn't it? At the end of the day. So all she's got to do is save some money, and I'm going to give her 20 to 25% on whatever she sells for me, which would be great. So Slytherin Reptiles was kind of born. I then was getting in contact with different wholesalers and stuff. I think being 16 years old when you're approaching kind of big wholesalers and they check you out in company's house and they go, oh, he's 16. What? And then I remember my first meeting with Owen Chenery at Peregrine Live Foods. And he come over to see me, and it was actually I was in my school uniform. I literally got picked up from school, driven as far as we can, as fast as we can to the offices for my family's business, which they own a graphics design and sign workshop. So we sat in there and we waited for Owen to come through. And Owen then come through. He was like, hello, and whatever. And I was kind of pitching to him this concept. We didn't have a bricks and mortar store and whatever. I was pitching this concept. Right, Slytherin, will be moving into a physical brick and mortar pet store, and this is the kind of business model that we had. It wasn't particularly doable, I think, for them anyway, because I think they were just thinking, okay, great, it's just going to be a quick turnaround business, and we won't really have much custom from them, etc. But thankfully, after a couple of weeks of persuasion, we then managed to open a successful account, which was great. And then what I did is I then bought myself a 1 meter shelving bay to stick in this pet shop, which you could find all the typical reptile supplies, beach chips, aspen bedding, sand scoopers, some bulbs and stuff on side of there. And then what we did is we bought some vivariums and put some of my animals that I had from home in there. Obviously, the transition period of working with the council was a bit of a nightmare to obviously get the pet shop license changed over to the person that runs the pet shop, and not myself. Was a bit of a hassle, so we couldn't sell any livestock for like 4 weeks. So while we did that, that was fine. And then I then could create this little Facebook page that kind of come along with Slytherin, and I could say, right, anyone that wants to come visit me now, you can. I literally have like a little reptile shop now, a little corner, and you can now come buy your bugs, your frozen, all your bedding and stuff like that as well, and you can have a look at a small little range of reptiles. Now, Coble didn't have reptiles. It was the first time that was a thing within our kind of town. So that kicked off, and we had a few customers and stuff like that. I was getting quite busy. I was still at school, so like at like 3:30 I used to come in, go for 3:30 till 5 and spend the time in there and stuff and help kind of where I can. And on the weekends, Saturdays, I used to be there, but they were closed on Sundays, which was a bit of a shame. But there was only open on a Saturday, I think, like 10 till 1, which wasn't good at all. And I had customers that wanted to come after that and stuff. So we kind of started finding these little teething issues that kind of come around with customers that wanted to come round and visit the shop and stuff, like at 1:30, but it was closed half an hour ago. I was like, can't do anything about that, mate. I don't know. It wasn't up to my discretion on the hours. But thankfully, we started to gain quite a lot of popularity, and only for pre-orders and stuff on bugs and things like that as well. I remember doing my first ever bug order and thinking, oh my God, I've got like 50 boxes of bugs. How the hell am I going to sell these? Now I look at it and my shelves have 1,500 on them a week. And I'm like, that's absolutely insane. So how I can transition, it's mad. But yeah, and then the things kind of broke down a little bit, I think, between my relationship and this pet shop owner. It's a real shame, really, because Slytherin, with a lot of people started coming in, I was plastering it in every forum everywhere, on every Facebook post. Anyone searching for reptiles or whatever, I was kind of going to be hitting you up and going, hello. So that kind of happened, and then the shop was quite busy, but it was mainly now just all my reptile stuff that we're selling. And the woman that was running the shop at the minute, she wasn't really particularly too impressed that none of her general pet products and stuff were selling as well. And she was basically saying, although she's spending all of her day selling my stuff, she's not making as much money as she would be selling her rabbit food or whatever she has, bird seeds and stuff like that anyway. So I was like, okay, that's fine, I do understand, but I said I can't really do anything about who walks through the door.
What should you do about that?
I was like, well, I really wasn't wanting to change the commission structure, really, because there was no margin in it anyway. So I was just there, like, it was just to tick us over and then to probably have some more money to then put back into the business, because literally I didn't take any wages for 3 years. So and that was the whole point about it, was growing Slytherin. That's the whole point about it, seeing what we could do with the company. So keep kind of doing. I think we stayed in that shop for a good few months until I had a phone call one day while I was at school, and it was basically just, Baiden, we need you out. And that's all I got. I was like, oh gosh, how come? At this point, I was panicking because this little kind of empire that I've just started embarking on has literally just been crushed. And that was it. I was thinking, oh my God, I've got all these animals that I have at the shop, and I've got all this product, and I've now got nowhere to sell it, and all the customers that are relying on me for live food and stuff like that. We've just started building these connections with people, and they've all kind of been thrown in the bin now out of one phone call. And she said, right, the business is going under. I've got a week to move out. You need to go by tomorrow.
Jesus.
Basically, that's what happened, and I was really, really upset.
I bet you were.
And then, I mean, I was still in high school at this point. I then rang my grandparents, my granddad, and says, right, we're gonna have. Can you please help me? He goes, Baiden, if they want you out, they want you out. Like there's we had no contract signed about obviously like the concession or anything like that as well. We were just doing it on a good kind of
goodwill
that was kind of it. So it was like, right, we've got to get you out. So the next day we got a big transit van that he had for obviously fitting his signs and stuff for work, and then he brought that over, and then we moved the entire shop out in a day. The shop owners didn't speak to me or do anything like that as well to kind of express any kind of issues with what was going on, and it was really kind of leaving on real bad terms, and I really didn't like that, as I'm quite a friendly, quite bubbly person anyway, and I don't like making enemies. And that was kind of my first real kind of bad experience in business where it did hit the fan, and I now have a van full of stuff which I have no idea what to do. So we was at home, we was talking about what we're going to do the night before we moved, and the idea come along with what my grandmother said, and she says, right, Baiden, I'll take everything out of my double garage for you, and you can put everything that you have in that garage, and you can literally kind of just sell what you've got there, and then we can just see what happens. You've got your GCSEs and stuff you need to concentrate on, mate, so let's just see what happens from there. So I then had all of my animals at home that were all living upstairs anyway, and then I now had a garage full of reptiles, and I had my product stands and stuff in there and whatever. We had tortoises and stuff in there, and literally I then I thought, God, I still can't sell any of these animals because my pet shop license doesn't exist anymore. So I was like, right, so we have to apply again for another pet shop license. So that's 4 weeks of waiting for that to come back, and speaking to him. And then after that I had 30 snakes at this point, so we kind of needed to kind of look at getting them kind of shifted and stuff. So, and then it was a lot harder selling privately than it was, and then I was having to flip this garage door open. Oh my God, and it wasn't kind of the way I wanted to see Slytherin kind of grow to. It looked nice. We had some nice banners and stuff inside of there, and the banners still are in that garage to this day. As a kind of like a little kind of that's how we kind of started.
What I would probably say to you is, like, as a parent of a 17-year-old, and the adversity that you faced. I mean, one, the amount you've taken on your shoulders at 16 is seriously impressive, and two, the fact that you managed to show mental fortitude to go through all of that and still do okay in your GCSEs, and then sometimes you are dealt the shitty end of the stick. Like with we do our best, and some people just aren't straight shooters, and they do screw you. But the way that you handled that, I mean, at 16, the dynamism to do it, I mean, that's crazy. Like, you're fucking 16 and you've got a shop in there, you're doing your GCSEs, you get told, oh well, you're getting thrown out. This is during your GCSE year where you're supposed to be like
knuckling down,
living the high life and partying, and then doing your homework and your studies and getting your GCSEs, and you're busy running a business at the same time, supplying colleges, and oh my God, and then they throw you out. That's just insane. It's really impressive. So you're in the garage, you get the license transferred, fire away.
Yeah, so we did that. I then completed my GCSEs, all to good standard, and then basically I then had to obviously make the move and thinking, right, I need to go to college, because I wouldn't have done. I would have just been sat back and said, right, let's do Slytherin full time. But sadly, the government have their own way, and they want to keep kids in education and stuff, which is a good thing. So I decided to go down the animal route, and that's where I chose to go down the animal care courses and stuff like that as well. So I did all of that stuff. But then what I think, after I pulled the kind of, because knowing how much money you're getting in for a small business is really important, and really kind of looking at your expenses and stuff, and really trying to drill that down and try and keep that as short as possible, so you can kind of make sure you stay afloat. And while I was opening the garage and stuff for a couple of customers here and there, to come collect live food and stuff, and it began to start fizzling out. So my grandparents then decided, right, not too far away, there's a place called the Springboard Centre, and it's a business centre where, if you think of any kind of odd business, it pretty much exists there. So and then tattoo studios, wedding photographers, accountants, mortgage providers, solicitors are here. There all sorts of printers, whatever. There's loads of sort of businesses in here. So I come in after school, again, another out of school thing, because I was always at college. So we come after college and come here, and I start getting, I've no idea what this place was. Always recognised it. We used to drive past it every day. It's in the centre of town, but never actually really knew what this building was. But yeah, I was shown a couple of these units and stuff like that as well. I was going through prices on some of these units, and I was like, I really can't afford this. This is expensive. And then we found, actually, it's this unit I'm sat in right now, which is our health check office room. This was Slytherin's first kind of retail room, of which I took the massive plunge into it, because the money that the college was giving me and all the kind of money we was getting from kind of regular customers literally paid for the rent outright. And that was it. So I was going into it literally and just thinking, right, it's either going to go really well and I could kind of pull it off, but still being at college half time. So I had 2 days off college, and then the weekend, so I'd be open basically for kind of 4 days a week, really. So that's the way it kind of works. And you come in here, it's only a small little office and stuff. It's not this grand reptile shop. And I had just one product stand, some vivariums. But the only kicker was, when I moved into this unit, was I was the youngest tenant they've ever had. I still am the youngest tenant they ever had, but now I'm the youngest tenant they ever had that has the most amount of commercial floor space. So it's flipped itself over. So now what happens is, I was saying to the Springboard Centre, I want to be a reptile shop. I want to have some reptiles and stuff inside here and just trade some reptiles and stuff out of an actual unit. Yes, you can trade the products and stuff out of there, Baiden, that's fine, but you cannot keep the animals over here for more than 24 hours. And oh, Jesus, I don't even have a car at this point. So, so for every meeting I had, if it was someone messaging me saying, I'm really looking at getting into a crested gecko, I'm like, brilliant. I'll go, right, let's set the meeting up 2 o'clock, let's go. I will then go back home, ask for a lift to go home, find a selection of crested geckos that I have for sale and bring one of my adult ones up as well, bring them up. And then what we do is, I already have some exoterras and stuff and whatever, trying to get them through, and then go through, right, here are 3 crested geckos for you to choose from. Which one do you like? This is how you look after them. You could sit down with me at the table, we'd go through how to hold them, all the kind of, I used to spend at least an hour with every single customer that used to come through the door that wanted reptiles and stuff like that. And I was thinking, oh, the service is so good. It's so personal. When someone wants to buy a corn snake or whatever animal they was looking at doing, you can really spend the time with me, because the shop wasn't busy. You couldn't get more than 4 people in here, and it's going to start feeling crammed. I started then progressing and thinking, right, we need some more dry goods and stuff. So I started getting some shelving bays and stuff put along the other side here. I'll have to try and send you some photos of this shop when I first opened it, because it's night and day difference to what it is to what I have now. But yeah, we kind of did that. It did okay. We stayed in here for just over a year, and we did a couple of years in here actually, and then things kind of took on from one step to the other and things like that as well. I then decided to invest in a website. So I had my first website created, which was an absolute catastrophe. They
usually are. The first ones.
Mate, I was literally, someone pitched me this awesome website. It's going to cost you, I think it was £10,000 was what the first thing was. And I was thinking, great, I'm gonna have this best website. It's gonna be all singing, all dancing. It's gonna do everything for me, and I can just sit here in my unit, box everything up, and send it off to the customer. And it's all gonna be good. And then I've not just got target market of kind of Colville, Leicester that I was wanting to tackle, but I now have the nation. But no, what I was provided with really didn't work. The design was awful. They really weren't happy about changing anything. I just bank transferred the money over at this point, and then I was really kind of in this kind of rut where all of my money has just gone on to something that didn't work. So I was really kind of upset about that, and we had some sales and stuff coming through. Granted, it did okay, but we were losing money. For what I put in, it wasn't spinning the nice little coins that we like out of the side of the website, which is what a lot of people have the generation with setting up an online website. It's all going to be fine. I can definitely tell you the first 3 years of running my business online on a website was awful. The only thing that kept me in business was the retail side of things. And that was kind of really kind of opened my eyes to retail and the kind of aspects and stuff that retail can have to a potential customer and client. And people will travel to come see you. They won't just spend their time on Google and then go in and shop on there. They'll want to come and speak to an actual friendly face. So that gave me great kind of confidence that this retail shop idea can work. And then lo and behold, COVID happened.
Yes.
Of which I wanted a bigger unit at this point. I was actually looking at concessioning again, but this was in a large chain of garden centres.
Right.
I was having meetings with concession advisors and stuff for Dobby's Garden Centre.
Right.
That was where we was looking at going. There was wanting to turn this entire unit up into a pet specialist. They wanted a reptile shop there, so they approached me to do it. I was like, wow. And then they wanted to move a Maidenhead Aquatics in there, a dog groomers in there, and then above they're going to have a brand new state-of-the-art vet practice. That was over. So I managed to find out the contact deals with the company director who was sorting out the vet practice. So I was getting in contact with him. We were talking floor plans and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I had all the supplies all sorted and whatever. Everything was all mapped out, ready to go. And then I had another email from Dobby's Garden Centre. Change of plans. We're basically changing the concession store unit out to be a warehouse for their stock. And I was like, oh. All of this planning
just pulled out from underneath you. Yeah.
I was going to have officially my palace of a reptile shop in one of the busiest garden centres and well-known garden centres in the entire country. I couldn't wait for that.
Yeah,
but I was young. I didn't really have probably the best business acumen. Granted, I had obviously a lot of family experience in business and a lot of kind of experience that comes with it. I think you just kind of got to graft at it and you just kind of got to get used to it. And I think me being so reptile passionate, it was always about the reptiles, forget about the footwork later. So it kind of got me into
just to pause there. So, I mean, you've got to frame this right, Baiden, because people are still not going to believe that you're only 24 years old and you've done all this.
Yeah.
This is fucking insane. Right? So,
it sounds beyond belief.
I think that there has to be massive kudos given to your grandparents at this point.
Yes, honestly, without my grandma and my late granddad, like I could not have done any of this like without them. Yeah. And also another thing that obviously people think, obviously, if you have kind of grandparents and stuff, they're going to be more than happy to finance your business venture. Yeah. And I can hand on heart say that I had no personal finance given to me at all. So everything that we've ever done has always been from my own back, and literally starting, I think was my 50 quid I had given to me for Christmas. And then I was like, great.
Well, they paid you in different ways though, bro, with their knowledge.
Oh mate, yeah, 100%.
My mum and dad were both cerebral and capable and intelligent people, but they were not business people. So I was sort of flying blind. And the amount of cock-ups and fuck-ups I made in the early days of running snakes and adders are beyond number. If I don't think there's a number to calculate the amount of cock-ups I made. So to be able to short circuit and circumvent those cock-ups by having somebody experienced in business going, Baiden, that's not a good idea. No, you rethink this, or this strategy will work. Or have you considered this placement or that? That's really cool to have got.
I mean, it was having these grandparents that are so kind of supportive of you, but when you go round and stuff like that as well, it's like, hey, up, mate, do you want a cup of tea? Let's have a chat about the business. Yeah. That's the kind of thing where it's always been. It's like, all right, what about if we do this, or what do you think about that, Baiden? It's always kind of been a thing where they've wanted to sit and improve and watch it grow. But I think it got to a certain point where Slytherin then decided to start to get a little bit too big for them to have a complete kind of grasp of what everything's going on. Like graphic design and sign leverage and stuff and wrapping cars and stuff is completely different to running a reptile shop and a pet shop and stuff, because it's more service-based business there, as it are. Obviously you provide service and things like that, where this is a lot more product and industry led that way. So it's kind of two different models. But honestly, I think what happened when we ended up saying no to the garden centre. So the garden centre ended up pulling us out, which was an awful thing to do. Then I was talking to the Springboard Centre, thinking, right, I might have to leave my little tiny palace that I have now created. Whatever, can you just let me know if there's any potential units that come up, because I would really like one of those outside units out the front, so customers actually have a dedicated door to walk through, because
Yes.
we used to come to Slytherin, basically Slytherin 1, is there's an outside door which you had a doorbell to press, and you had to press the doorbell, and you used to go ding in here, then I had to go run out here, sprint as fast as I can down the corridor and let you in the bloody building. So, and then it was no good if I was mid conversation with a customer in here, and then I had the doorbell going off left, right, and centre. So I was having to do like 1 million miles every day running to the door and back and forth. So I really wanted a door where customers can walk through. That didn't happen. The Springboard Centre had no units available.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, damn. Yeah. So I stuck it here for a little bit longer. And then they come in and said, Baiden, we've got a unit available outside. It's an absolute hellhole inside of it. It has this weird ass second floor that some bloke put up, which wasn't even level. It was a massive health and safety hazard. It was full of just junk everywhere. It was a unit that someone had for 15 years and just rented it and just not done anything with it and just kept it as like a giant shed. And then when I had a look at this unit, when they opened this door and it creaked open, and I was like, oh my God, no. It is awful. And it's massive. It's way too big for them what I need. No thanks. But if I may ask, like, how long will it be until the bloke's out? Oh, 2 months, he says, just before I get him cleared out. I was like, okay. I says, well, let's clear it out and then let's have a look at it. I mean, it was awful. The ceiling was like 25 foot high. It was freezing cold. There was no electrics in this damn unit. So there was no plumbing. So thinking about how I would even water the animals would be insane. So I was like, right, how am I going to turn this unit into something that people are going to want to come to and turn it into a proper reptile shop? And lo and behold, we managed to strip everything out. I then decided to take a massive plunge. Well, this is lockdown, actually. This is when COVID started hitting. I decided to go, right, while everyone's sat chilling at home, I'm going to plunge everything I have into a new unit, and off we go. So we put a suspended ceiling in there. I had a whole electrical rewire done for the shop. I had honestly, if you ever come around to my shop and you see that sink where we clean all the animals and all that kind of stuff there, the effort it has taken to get the piping through about 7 different walls and different curves to get the plumbing into that unit has been insane. When I approached Springboard Centre and said, right, I need a plumber, can you send one to me? And we can have, and then there was like, no way you're getting water in that unit, Baiden. It's not happening. So lo and behold, I found a way of getting water. But it literally works on a giant pump system. So it literally pumps about 20-30 foot away from me. So honestly, it's insane to think kind of what I've had to do to accomplish that. We had to paint the floor, we had to paint everywhere and stuff, and just to kind of get things set up. Now, we launched Slytherin, I think, in 3 years ago on November, I think. I don't know the date to be precise from you, but I remember opening it. I had we had to change the shop door because it was a roller shutter door. There was no actual door that existed to the front of this shop. So I had to change that. I then had to get a new roller shutter as well put in because that was old and didn't work. So I had to.
You really invested a lot in this unit then. Yeah.
It was all or nothing by this point. I got college-wise as well. I literally was at college. I then did the first year. Everything went well, distinction stars and everything that we did anyway. It was relatively up my street anyway. It wasn't too hard. The animal biology side of things, I absolutely love. So I was having a great time, but I was speaking to my college tutor at that point. And I was saying, right, I really don't think I need to be here. So what do you think about me leaving? And she said, honestly, Baiden, I think that's going to be a fantastic decision for you.
Right.
And I couldn't see many kind of college tutors or anything like that telling any kid that to leave education is going to be a good thing to do. Yeah. But she could understand, obviously, the business acumen and stuff like that as well. She was really interested in knowing kind of what my plans are. And she gave me full confidence that, yes, just go, quit college, bugger off from here and go and do that venture. So that's exactly what I did. We set up this new unit and whatever. I had now an official new bank of vivariums that were looking good. We had shop product stock in there, shelving racks, proper racks and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
It was going good. Here comes the big launch we did. It was surprisingly busier than I thought it was going to be, because again, it was just me running this shop, and then I was now in this shop now 6 days a week. So it was Monday through to Saturday, and I'd have Sunday off.
Yes.
So we had this kind of fundamental where it was 9 to 5, and that's basically what I did. And I was quite impressed with it, but there wasn't many people coming through the door. It was a relatively new business. We had word of mouth and stuff like that as marketing and stuff has to be done. So I think we was kind of riding this wave where the new shop's open. We've had the big launch where everyone's kind of come in at once. And I mean, we had no till. We only had I think my iPhone, which was getting to one of these card terminal things, and I couldn't scan no. It was literally just, okay, great, you've got a piece of wood there, right, let me find out how much that piece of wood is, let me price that up. Okay, great, you've got a thermometer as well, let me add that up quickly. And do you want to pay cash or card? that was literally it. And I always would talk about it, because we had, I remember earning our first £500 day taking, right? And how much of a fundamentally like awesome moment that is for, I think, any business owner to know that, oh, I'm just talking £500 or whatever. And then it was like, great, let's see if I could do that tomorrow. And I thought, I pushed it harder. I earned £600 the next day. I'm like, oh my God, that's £1,100. I'm like, that's wicked. And then that's in 2 days. And then things started to progress, and more people started to come in to come see me and stuff like that as well. And I think just being overly friendly with everyone and valuing every single customer. I tell this to my staff all the time, but to value every single person that walks through the door. I said it's so much harder it is to get someone to walk through your retail premises than it is to get them to land on your website. So appreciate them and make sure they feel valued. And that's kind of the business model that I've always kind of worked on when it comes to my customer relationship with our customers that come down here. I think once we did that and stuff, it started getting quite busy. And I was like, on a Saturday, I couldn't do it by my own. And we had now loads of animals to look after, and I was just being stretched. And one of my best friends at the time says, I'll tell you what, Baiden, I can see you're a bit struggling and whatever, and let me just jump in with you, mate. I've got no idea about selling reptiles at all or anything, how to look after them. But he says, I only work down the road. I sell timber. I can jump on a till and stuff, and I can make some people laugh for you at the end of the day. Not due through stupidity, but probably from personality. So so that's what the thing was. And then Jack kind of joined me, and Jack kind of stayed with me. He kind of learned the ropes and stuff like that as well. He was my first official employee as well that we had here at Slytherin. And now that's it. I now have a member of staff to think about and look after him and his interests and stuff like that as well. And it really kind of took the pressure off of me, and it allowed me then to start to look at other things like different reptiles for stock and different products, and talking to different the manufacturers and stuff like that as well, and the wholesalers, and kind of getting grips a little bit more and help my own knowledge on helping customers understand why they need to move into kind of, well, just getting customers in general just to move over to new lighting and do the kind of, cause we've been through all the AAL licensing by this point and checked all of that out and had a re-inspection and stuff, which we got 5 stars, which I'm mega thankful for. So, but it just kind of tailoring everything and kind of really kind of getting in grips with every single product that we sell. Like, I should know everything about everything, and the customer wants everything. There should be 5 points on like why a customer needs that product, or why that product wouldn't be good, or they should need this one, and really just kind of do that. And then telling Jack everything I kind of knew about kind of my reptile experience and stuff. And obviously he's a complete beginner. I think he had a leopard gecko at this point. And kind of just building him up and kind of watching him over the period of 6 months and so build Slytherin and kind of get the customer relationships and stuff. And I think letting go as a business owner is pretty hard, and kind of letting your bit, like, you kind of step back a little bit from it and think, right, I can sit in the office and the business is still gonna work, and it's still going to stand at the end of the day.
I'm a nightmare for it. I'm a nightmare. I'm a micromanager, and I always will be. Like, it's your baby. I mean, it's hard.
It is 100%. And obviously from where it comes to, from where it goes. And I was thinking at this point, okay, great. It was really busy. It was ticking over nicely. We was now officially a proper business, which is kind of what I've wanted for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And it was good. But then I could still see more potential with it. Obviously, Reptiles wasn't this particular member of staff's passion like it was mine.
Yeah.
So inevitably, things did start to happen with our relationship in terms of obviously him being one of my best mates,
Yeah.
and then also him being my employee as well, which I personally will not be doing again. I think you get away with too much stuff, and I think it's heartbreaking in itself. Especially he tells me, oh, he's got a new job. Great, can you work your 4-week notice? No, I'm going in 4 days. There's nothing you can do about it, etc. And I was like, nice. I'm now left on my own, running this business in 4 days' time without any staff.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the biggest thing for me. And I felt, oh, Jesus, okay, now I might need to think about actually putting a proper job advert out and finding someone else to work with. And this was kind of where it was. And this point, I had some work experience people in and things like that as well. So we had Joe and Louis that are still with me to this day, and they're now official employees to the business. So, but yeah, they started coming in, and they had a lot of work over the summer and stuff just to help me kind of clear and kind of get my head sorted. Yes. And I put a job out on Indeed, and I had everyone that you could ever think about that wants to work in a reptile shop apply to work for me. Yeah. And I thought, this is great. I've never done a job interview before. Yeah. I'm going to absolutely smash it. It's going to be like The Apprentice, but like on fire. So I'm like, yeah, here we go. So I must have interviewed 12, 15 people.
Right.
Just for the fact of wanting to get the experience to interview them.
Mm-hmm.
I had no real kind of ambition to take them on anyway. I just wanted to do it for my own kind of personal kind of development, really. Yeah. And then walked through what I then got an email about this really kind of good looking kind of CV that come through, and it was Hannah's kind of CV that come through, and I thought, wow, that's good. Yeah. She's worked in these kind of zoos and stuff like that as well previously. I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And it was ticking a lot of boxes. Yeah. And then I thought, great, let's get her in for an interview. Yeah. She absolutely bossed the interview. So the very next day I rang her. I was like, right, Hannah, you've got the job. If you want to come work with me, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I had at the same time another one come through. So I took Hannah on part-time was what we was going to do, part-time, because that's where we needed to be. And then I had another one come through from someone who's just recently qualified their herpetology and zoology degree up at Bangor University.
All right.
Which was something I always wanted to go and do that, but business and that kind of led me in a different path. So I was like, oh, that's wicked. And his name was Aaron, and he is also a customer of ours. I've always known him to go to Bangor, and he also have this interest and stuff on him. We used to talk on the bus, and so he was a year above me, but I remember him popping over the chair on the bus on the way home and goes, are you Baiden? Are you that kid that owns that reptile shop? I was like, yeah, mate. Yeah. So that was it. And then we kind of always have this kind of decent friendship going on, but he come to work for us full time. So I then, instead of wanting one job, I ended up taking 2 people on, which I think was worth its weight in gold. From there on out. And then that's it. We then continued expanding the business, and they started working on it. And then the great thing was that Aaron had such a great, I mean, I could do all the Latin names for pretty much everything, spiders included and stuff. And then, but he had a real soul interest in invertebrates. Mm-hmm. And which meant we could then plunge more time into get some different species of invertebrates and stuff, and really knowing that the care and the advice that we'll be giving to these animals and to the customers is going to pay off. We really started seeing a massive kind of incline in our invertebrate section to the company. So we piled on with that, and we just went into that full force pretty much. And then we still didn't have huge stock diversity. It's only been the last year and 2 we've actually kind of really kind of tailor-made that to really kind of make this kind of proper stamp going on for why people need to come see us. But yeah, it's been a fantastic approach and stuff. And I think generally having staff has been the best thing I have ever done for this company. And making sure that my staff aren't just staff. I don't just kind of just boss them around and whatever. Yes, I've got to have that approach anyway, but they are my family at the end of the day. We wouldn't be where we are today if it weren't for all of their hard graft. I'm just here to kind of steer them in the right direction, and make sure obviously we're always learning and progressing. But the staff are the biggest thing to me in my business. I appreciate every single one of them. That we're now a team of 5, so making sure every single person is well looked after. It's a job in itself. But yeah, it's truly amazing to think, obviously, how I was running that exact shop with just myself into it, for running the same shop, the same floor space, just a few more vivariums and stuff in there, a few more products and stuff. Now we need 5 people to work in our business.
I mean, it's the speed that gets me. Like the speed that you've managed to achieve all of this in. I mean, it's insane. You've gone from opening a shop where you're the sole employee in some shithole, god-awful fucking wreck of a unit that you've had to repipe, organize, paint, sort. You've had an employee who was sort of like, he didn't really know what he was doing. He's pissed off because he got it. And then suddenly, right, okay, I've got a shop, I'm the sole employee. And then now I've got 5 employees and I've got this separate meeting room for assessments. What's the time period from your mate leaving who decided he was going to go and get another job to now? It's like 2 years, 2.5 years, if that.
Yeah, two years now, yeah, 2 years.
So from no employees to 5 employees, and then now you're moving into this bigger unit. And this is all see, I benefited bank of mum and dad, and you've done all this on your own back. I mean, it's serious.
Yeah, I've had no financial help at all. Like, but honestly, yeah. Well, in terms of obviously like our new unit of what's coming through, for those of you that haven't seen it already published all over our social media, I have decided to take over Next Door. So Next Door was basically what they did. They did like kind of fire escape and things like that as well. That's what their kind of whole business model did too. On the odd chance that they come out to me and say, "Hey, Baiden, how are you doing, etc. How's business?" I went, "Yeah, really good." I said to him just joking, I said, "Oh, when can I have your unit?" And they turned around to me and went, "I can actually see if I can do something about that for you." And I was like, "Ooh, it is picked up." I was like, that's kind of interesting. No idea what I need it for, because it's doing okay. And then the offer got brought to me if a couple of months ago, if I wanted to potentially take it over. And I was thinking, yes, it's going to double my floor space. The only thing I have to do is we have massive concrete walls between our units and stuff. I've got to annihilate that wall and make sure the entire thing doesn't come crashing down. So I need to get builders in, structural engineering, to just try and put me a hole through the wall so we can actually access it and not have it as 2 separate shops. I want it to be one shop basically. So yes, that happened. Apparently that can happen, and the Springboard Centre miraculously agreed for me to put a giant hole through the wall. So the work commences on the hole in the wall in the next couple of weeks. We have actually put in a mezzanine floor in there as well. So it now is 2 stories inside of there. Of which we've got to partition the walls off and create like this kind of room plan and stuff, but it's got open shutters and stuff, so we're creating like a little warehouse section as well. I want an entire room done and dedicated to bioactive enclosures, so I want an entire wall basically plastered in frogs and geckos and whatever else I can stick in something with plants in it. That's what I want. I want an entire room wall full of living plants that customers can come by, which I can't believe as well. Like, we sell plants like a garden centre as well. So for any shop that wants to kind of progress into looking at something different to stock, put plants in your shop, they will sell 100%. I mean, things like isopods and stuff like that as well. I mean, springtails, I mean, we order 50, 60 boxes of springtails a week, and they fly out. So it's just understanding that. So really kind of tailor making that. We've got some bioactives in at the minute, mate, but we've got like 9 enclosures. I want like 40 now. So that's the plan. So we're gonna get that sorted. Upstairs, what am I moving upstairs? So upstairs has got a brand new staff room inside of there for everybody. Our breeding facility will move up there, and holiday boarding as well. Which is a great other aspect to our business as well. It does really well for us. And then we will also be moving up there my office, and we'll kind of have like this kind of boardroom kind of style thing going on upstairs as well. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of a project and a bit of a hellhole for the next couple of months, just getting through it and just bashing through every obstacle and stuff like that that we come across, like the floor isn't level or the floor's bright blue at the minute, it needs going grey, so we've got to paint it, and we've got these giant blue mezzanine bars, and what am I going to do with them? Am I going to paint them? Am I going to put some product shelves and stuff around it? I don't know. So, and also I need water. Also again, I have plans.
Water again.
I know, so I need to sort that out. But I also need water upstairs and downstairs, obviously for the staff room, and then I also need water downstairs for the animals. We have a giant staircase underneath our mezzanine, so where the stairs are, underneath there, I am moving one of our giant reticulated pythons under there, so I need to create a kind of full working, massive zoo type enclosure going under there, which also will coincide to the plumbing, because I can get a standing flow system, and then I can just drain this like reservoir pool thing for this for Nagini, our reticulated python, and then boom, I can then have a self-raising and self-draining bath for this giant snake. So that's going to be something I really can't wish. It's going to be 13 foot long, 6 foot deep, bloody 5.5 foot high. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And I think having a nice, good snake, well, one of our snakes there for people to come have a look at, it's going to be a great thing to do. So because we don't really have any shop mascot pets. There's Knuckles, my hedgehog, which she's called Knuckles because she always wants to fight me because she's a rescue hedgehog and she's a pain in the bum. But we don't really have any animals for a lot of shops that people want to come around and see, like these mascot animals. So she's always been an animal, which is always pretty cool. So I think she'll do well and she'll benefit from the space, and also it'll tell people not to really buy baby retics because they get that big.
Unless you can do this, don't do that.
That's what I want to do. So less of that and more of this, mate. So that's what I want to see. So
do you have projects at the shop? Do you have breeding projects?
Yes. Well, I'm quite thankful actually. My staff have such a massive array of reptiles between them. My personal favourites are anything chondro related. I love any green tree python, Corallus, anything like that. It's really kind of my project thing. I used to be all royal pythons and all morphs and stuff like that as well. And I realised there's a nicer side to the reptile hobby, and that's collecting different species of reptiles and differentiating, which is the best thing. And I love it. Like we've got emerald tree boas now in, and I absolutely love working with them. Or they want to rip my face off every time we go near them. And just kind of having these kind of stuff like Mark, he probably has one of the best reptile collections. Like he's one of our staff members, is our store manager, one of the best reptile collections, and he's only young. Like I make a point about only employing young people, because Mark's 21. Mark he has rough scale pythons, he has Burmese pythons, he's got reticulated pythons, he's got green tree pythons in there, yellow anacondas, he's got some really cool stuff, Breddles pythons, and the list just got frill dragons, and he's also getting a green tree monitor from us as well. So there's lots of things he has in his experience in just having them different types of reptiles and stuff. Sanzinia as well, we've got them from obviously yourself. We have a breeding pair of Western Sanzinia as well in with us, so hopefully that will be good. But and then Joe, one of our other lads.
So these are maturing projects. They're not
necessarily they're not stuff that we have up and going straight away. I mean, my Manakwari green trees are pretty much set ready to go for next season, so that will be pretty good. But it's just kind of working. I kind of wish we did kind of have a bit more of that kind of site breeding facility like we used to back in the day. As I kind of pulled out of that and then thought, okay, great, I can get the reptiles from private breeders because it literally just saves me the headache on having them for an entire year. Personally, and I think the change of obviously doing that, and obviously now we can concentrate on actually say, right, this bloody animal this green tree python was from these two parents. They're over there. They've been in the shop for God knows how long. There you go. That's them. So that's the real kind of plan of what I want to do for it. But yeah, in terms of like the holiday boarding rooms, dedicated rooms for that, and it's going to be such a good project to have.
Going back to your breeding project stuff, I mean, we did similar thing. I tinker with a few bits. I don't produce a vast amount, and the simple reason being is we've fostered a network of UK breeders that we've worked with for close to a decade. So whenever I need to source anything, I can source it, and I can source it for probably a far cheaper price than it would cost me to pay the girls to clean it out, feed it every week, and do all the
Exactly.
rest of it. Just
And
no
that's a model as well. I think I've had to go through with the staff, and they go, "Oh, well, if we buy like 20 boa constrictors, then we can get like this many babies." And then I tell them, I was like, "Well, someone's got to pay your wages, mate. Someone's got to pay you to feed them, clean them. I've got to pay for the electric and whatever." But I said, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just not something that we have the space to have a humongous breeding facility for. But we have projects that we like working on and that are in the future. So that's good. And I think another aspect that I think a lot of shops do have is the fact that obviously I've always kind of been thought, obviously young, building up in this industry, that every single reptile shop owner is there to annihilate you and barricade you out of the kind of hobby and not kind of give you that kind of
very
support
tribal
that you need. And I never really got that from being young. It's only been the last year and two where people have kind of gone, "Hey, up, mate, how are you doing?" And things like that as well. And that's kind of what I probably would have loved to have saw when I was first starting Slytherin, and talking to other shop owners and kind of seeing if what I was doing was potentially correct or wrong or whatever, and having that kind of back and forth relationship. It would have been really nice to see. I think now the moves of the industry and the kind of struggles that we're coming into recently, obviously COVID, and now obviously the cost of living crisis is kind of pushing these shops more together. I definitely feel so, that we can speak to these other shops and stuff. And I've built a fantastic relationship with a number of shops, yourself obviously included, that we can provide these animals, and I can get reptiles from other reptile shops now. When 4 or 5 years ago, I would have never even have dared shoot someone an inbox message and go, "Hello, can I have it on trade, please?" No, not a chance, mate. But now it's knowing obviously that people are going to want to support you and whatever. And I want to support other businesses, like we supply other pet shops and stuff like that as well. I mean, I get stuff off you, etc. So it's just making sure that obviously we can kind of work together nicely and better in this industry. And I don't care if you come get bugs from me and go to somewhere else and get bugs. That's fine. I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram for £10 worth of bugs for 1 week. But if I can make you see the value of why you want to come here for my bugs, that's the winner. Sorry, mate, I'm going to be here. That's okay. So I'm just being walked into by from the staff. But yeah, if I can see that obviously the value that why customers can get with coming here, I think it's a win-win situation. Everyone puts more time and effort into their customers, then I think business will be good at the end of the day for a lot of people.
I think a lot, like going back, I mean, obviously you're 24. I've been running my shop for 23 years. So you were a year old when
I know.
Like, so this is like, and I'm not even one of the really old school shop owners. There are some shop owners at 30 and 35 years. And the way it's changed and the tribalism that you're describing did exist. You would have maybe a friendly 1 or 2 shops, but you were at loggerheads. And I was trained by the people that I worked for before I bought Snakes and Adders, that you almost look through every shop with a furrowed brow because they're shit and we're amazing. And that was the attitude you had to have. And it was combative. It was like being on the stands at a football match. It was crazy. And I've just never been that way out. I've never been had that outlook. And it's only really within the last 2-3 years that I've really started to try and foster these relationships moving forward, like you with the shops, because there is value added. There is enough shit going on in this world without like making enemies for the sake of making enemies. And actually we can prove to be perfectly viable trading partners, confidants, a shoulder to cry on, which, you know, it happens. People get stressed. They go through shit times. And just because one shop's doing amazing, another shop isn't. And you need that support network. And the thing is, other shop owners know exactly what you're going through. They have that same sort of look in their eye, you know, like, because it's hard and it's not always easy. And like, why would you want to ostracize yourself from a support network that specifically knows exactly what you go through on a day-to-day basis, you know? So, you know, how are things at the moment? You know, with the world, the cost of living crisis, energy bills, it certainly sounds like you're making a good go of things. Has it presented any challenges, or do you think you'll be able to sidestep quite easily?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I try and look at things positively, because if you look at things negatively, I just think you end up in a downward spiral. And I do believe in trying to look on the positive side of things, although things might be looking a little bit bleak sometimes. You're like, okay, great, but we can concentrate on this. It's going to be fine. So yes, obviously we have had an impact here of the business. Electric, obviously we've got a new unit to take into consideration, the rent for that now, and then the electrics for that bill, that unit as well, which is double the cost of what we're currently paying, and the electric was double the amount of what we was paying last year. So it's just going to be very expensive for what we're currently doing. But in terms of obviously retail customers and staff, from what we can see, no one's waltzing in and wanting to buy particularly a reptile and just going, yeah, I'll have that's cool. Not like how it used to be like last year, where we used to be going, no, wait, stop. Just think about it first, you moron. And then, have you got a setup? You go, no, I just want one. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, what's the cheapest I can do it? I'm like, no, I just go away. You're just not the person I want to talk to. How can I do it the cheapest? How can I do it this way? And I'm like, you can get away with keeping rentals fairly cheaply, yes, but are you giving them the best that they could have? No. Are you going to progress to give them the best that they can have? Potentially. That's what we want to work on.
Yes.
And building them from one place to the other.
Absolutely.
But yeah, in terms of other issues that we face, really, it's just kind of making sure that we kind of, as a business owner, you've kind of got a clear head, clear strategy, and you can kind of work through it. And I'm just waiting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then obviously when the new shop's done, I can go, great, I can relax now and actually concentrate on some important stuff that needs doing. But I think it's one of the things that I think a lot of people need to take into consideration, whereas is your job is being shop owners, directors, however you see yourself as, it is stressful. Like you own a business, it is hell, but it's also tremendous fun. And I think a lot of people kind of weary on the fact that running a business is dead miserable and whatever, and there's so much harder to talk about the positives of business than it is to talk about the negatives. The negatives can just come off a mile long, but in fact for the last 2-3 weeks or whatever, you've had really good weeks and they've been really good, and talking about those and stuff is going to be really detrimental. I mean, we're fortunate enough where, I mean, sadly my head can feel like a really heavy cloud sometimes. And I am thankful enough, obviously, to have my partner, Holly, who actually I should say fiance now, because that did happen a couple of weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But I come home, I can tell her everything that has happened about work, and she is there to help guide and support me through it. And I think if it wasn't for her personally to help just listen to me rant or help give me ideas if you think this would be a good thing to do, etc. as well, because I can ask my staff, but I think having an outsider's point of view that isn't involved in the business is a really good thing to do. So she'll say yes, no, maybe you should probably do this, etc. So I'm like, cool. It gives me another outlook on it. And I think Slytherin really wouldn't be the business it is today without obviously Holly, my partner, fiance, but behind my side. I think it
sounds like you've always benefited from a good support network. Which
I do, I sometimes sit there and think to myself, is that a good idea? Is it not? Whatever. But I need to ask somebody. And that's literally it. I have to kind of constantly keep kind of clarifying, is that a good idea? Is it not? What are the disadvantages, the benefits and stuff? And one of the way I'll literally just make, okay, great, that's fine. Let's roll on to that decision. That's good, that's bad, no. And I'm very quick at making these decisions. And I mean, for example, obviously how stressful business can get, like, we hold events here. The Springboard Centre I'm thankful enough to have a ginormous meeting room here. So upstairs, you come down the corridor here, upstairs is a giant meeting room. So we're hoping to hold events and parties and stuff like that inside of there in the next couple of months. Once the council signed that off for me. But we did a Exoterra launch event, which quite a few shops did nationwide. And yeah, I publicised it. I did it as like a mini little reptile show. So it was a completely free event because I asked customers of mine that were really close to us and really do feel like family. So if they would go have their own table and show people that wanted to come to this event their animals and just show them a Western hognose, show them some royal pythons or sailfin dragons or whatever they wanted to bring, as long as it's moderately friendly, was basically the concessions that we did. And having to sort 15 tables out for this mini reptile show that we put on, which I thought would be okay. It would be just a nice steady stream of people just coming through the door. They come to the shop, and then we'll just send you upstairs to go have a quick look up there. Now, I did do some advertising for this thing. I created on Facebook. It's pretty easy to do. Create an event, put your time scale for your event. This was a one-day event that was happening on Saturday. It was the last week before the school holidays and all the kids went back to school. I was expecting a good turnout to be 100 people for the day. 3 days after launching that meeting up on Facebook, I had roughly 400 people saying they were coming through, 500 people then, 600 people, 700 people, 800 people. We got over 1,000 people that just said they were going or interested into this Facebook event. I was but that's more than the International Herpetology Society got for the last Doncaster show. And I was sat there like, oh, and then at this point I was thinking, okay, great, that's one person. Then people are going to bring then four other people, the missus and then the 2 kids. I was thinking, right, this has gone way beyond what I was going to expect to do. I can't do nothing about it now. It's a free event. So I was like, right, shit. So I started getting really, really paranoid that it's going to become too much. Like, you're not going to be able to move and things like that inside of there and inside the shop, and everyone's going to just have a massive hissy fit. So it got to the point where I was working myself up so much about the build up to this event. I could not sleep. My anxiety was through the roof.
I bet.
For the first time ever, what I would experience to be kind of like my back was like on fire. It was super itchy. I spent probably from 12 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning in a freezing cold bath because I couldn't get this weird itching sensation to get off of me. And that was for 3 days straight, pretty much, that happened. I was running on no sleep, coming into work, looking like a bag of crap, trying to sort out our biggest ever event day thing that was happening ever. And then Saturday came. I got all the staff in at 6:30 in the morning. All the volunteers come with all their animals. They were all set ready upstairs by 9 o'clock for the Chaos 2 event. By 8:30, the door was locked for Slytherin outside the front, and we started to have a queue of people come through. Granted, we have probably, in total in the business centre, we probably have at least 100 car parking spaces. They were all full by 9 o'clock.
Oh, no.
I opened the door, people come in, and people come in, people come in, people come in, and no one was leaving at this point. And it was absolute hell.
I bet.
I had 5. All of us were working. All 5 staff were working. My friends were here helping me. My family were here helping me. It was absolute carnage. I have looked back. Honestly, the meeting room from here is a good 2-minute walk away. I had customers queuing from the meeting room all the way down the stairs, all the way through this massive corridor that we have here, full of business units, down towards the shop, in the shop, and outside of the shop as well. It would have taken you at least an hour and a half to get upstairs to see the animals.
No way.
It was way beyond anything that I have ever would have computed would have happened. I seriously just think it's down to the fact it was the last day of the summer holidays, free day out. You can come see the reptiles, and that was it. It was absolute mental. You couldn't move. The till was bloody rammed with people wanting stuff and things like that as well. I just don't have the time to show you a Western hognose, sadly, mate, which normally isn't my style, but I have, like, my counter has got like 8 people queuing at it, and they've all got trolleys full of gear. I'm like, So I had to do that, and then we were just running around like headless chickens for the entire 8 hours. It just did not stop. It got to the point where I decided, right, I've got to turn a few people away. I think McDonald's had the best ever takings ever. As well when it comes to the event, because literally we're blessed. We've got a leisure centre right next door to us, brand new leisure centre. We've got McDonald's, the KFC next door to us. There's a Lidl and there's an Aldi. So normally everyone does the shop, or then they come here, or they come here, do the shop, and bugger off home. So it works nicely, but honestly, the entire road turned into chaos. And the entry tunnel, it's a tunnel you drive through to get to our shop, and it's a 1 in 1 out kind of system. But you can't really do it if there's people coming left and right hand side from the main road, and also trying to get out and in from the tunnel. It just turned into chaos. So I created absolute havoc in Colville for that day. So the event finished at 4:30, thank God. By 6 o'clock, everyone was out. Which was good, and then we could start packing away and then reflecting on the chaos that happened and how we could reflect on that not happening again. Monday morning come through, and I had an email from the Springboard Centre to say that several tenants have complained about how busy the event was. It was horrific. It was terrible. It was really busy. It was we estimate of what we saw, 4,000 to 5,000 people walked through my door on one day.
I mean, that's gold dust to get. I mean, do you know what you'd give to have that amount of footfall? Just because you're going to hit certain people wanting certain things or pick. So I mean, that's gold.
For a PR standpoint, it's good, because people get to notice these snakes. They get to the whole point about you're talking not just to myself and my team that are going to look at trying to hopefully progress you into buying a reptile, but you're talking to actual customers that have bought reptiles from us that are firsthand telling you how awesome they are to keep them. And they'll then come and ask us, oh, I fell in love with the tricoloured hog noses. Have you got any? Yeah, in fact, yes, I'll have 2. Which one would you like to have a look at? And that kind of thing is awesome. And then it really helps you. We did see, obviously, that event did obviously pull off quite a lot of interest in business in terms of reptiles and stuff. And we have kids that come in all the time. Like, parents bring them in 4 or 5 times before, just to make sure that they're interested in reptiles. And the same as I used to do that, and that's what I like. I like progressively. I give all the kids all high fives and stuff when they come around to the shop and stuff. Ask them any questions. They're looking at getting, let's say, a crested gecko or whatever. When I ask them next questions, when they come in, we tell them to read this book or this article or whatever. And don't make sure when you come back, I will be asking you questions, because that's the kind of thing you want to do. You want the parents. They've got to feel confident, and though we've got to talk to them and stress to them, as I mentioned earlier, with that they've got to know what they're doing when it comes to looking after this animal and overseeing the kids looking after them. But the kids should have the interest in it.
I mean, but going back to, I mean, you've done this. You as far as I believe, you've got a dedicated member of staff that deals with social media, or a company that you employ for social.
media. So basically,
a lot of shops do. I do it myself. So
so all 5 of us have access to our Facebook, Instagram on our business pages, which means every time a customer sends a message about whatever, then all of us get notified about it, and then we'll all pick it up and one of us reply to it, and we'll several times, and so you get 2 people reply at the same time and be able to say message sent off. But yes, in terms of running the social pages and the Instagram and stuff like that as well, this room is brilliant for that, because we have obviously a lot of informative videos, and we have a lot of kind of photography and stuff on our snakes and stuff are all done up here, and it looks nice and pretty, and that's the kind of best thing about it. But yes, the social media side of things got to a point where it takes up like I would probably recommend it, probably spend a good kind of 20 hours a week on just social sites, even just replying to customers. The amount of effort that takes is unreal. But then you've got customers that are messaging you at 6 o'clock at night and question marking you at 9 o'clock at night. So why have you not replied to me? I was like, mate, I am off work. I will see you at 9 o'clock in the morning. But this is something I had to do. I used to be there all the time, like just working through all these messages, and we can have 60, 70 messages build up in our inbox on a Saturday, and it's like if the staff aren't doing anything, the counters are there, and you used to see them typing away, because it's all iPad led in our shop. It's like an Apple shop. It's literally just iPads everywhere. You just come around and see a member of staff on an iPad. We can take you off wherever with an iPad and show you how all the enclosure works and stuff, and just flick through the iPad and whatever and show you all the cool photos and stuff of the bib or whatever you want to buy. That's cool. But But yeah, we'll just sit there and reply back to all their messages and stuff. But the social side of things is something that we really do take seriously in terms of making sure we have informative posts, looking at our Facebook engagement. How can we get that better?
Yeah.
Although you've got to separate yourself between obviously trying to sell a reptile, but also giving informative posts. But if any shop wants stuff that's going to get likes, going to get engagement, just type in reptile memes and then steal one that you think's funny, post it up. Don't even put any kind of description or whatever at the top. Just put some laughing emojis, and then that's it. Customers will go nuts for it. You get 60, 70 likes dead easy. You post all what I think like our Angolan pythons and stuff that we have. Coolest snake ever. And then you put that up, it gets like 20 likes, but someone's laughing about that they need electrical plugs for reptiles. I'm like, okay, great. So I'm like, but it's different. Customers have different ways of interaction and stuff like that as well. But the Facebook pages and the Instagram pages do bring business. It really does. We publish our livestock lists very often. We update them on our website, so customers are drawn straight to our website. This is where I then started to look at outsourcing a agency to run our marketing campaigns. Yeah. So we could start to find people that are coming onto our website. We could then start showing them our adverts and stuff and things like that as well. There's a new advert coming around, which you'll see me going, hi guys, thank you very much for engaging with us, blah, 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 and just kind of being a bit more of a face to the company. Yes. But showing and then finding other different types of pots of customers and different age brackets and trying different kind of content in different places and excluding certain age categories and interest and finding what works well. When people dabble around in boosting posts and stuff, when you start going into business ad manager and you're really kind of diving into our demographic of what makes our customers tick, not from just making them want to purchase on our website, make an action and come into the store, make a health check booking, etc., but actually understand what your potential customer looks like. It's insane. Your normal business insights will kind of give you that in general, but that's just your audience of who you've already attracted. What we're trying to do is we've got our audience that we're attracting more people, and we want to build this kind of community feel, and the agency does really well of providing these different types of ideas to me and going, right, we're going to completely scrap this off and we're going to look at trying to do that. Although it's going to cost quite a bit to obviously have a marketing agency. We have select budgets that we throw onto the social paid advertising side of things in terms of our videos that get produced and stuff. But we do a lot of our advertising that you guys will see up on our page is all in-house done. Right. I mean, a lot of shops will do all of it, won't they? So I mean, it's interesting that you've outsourced some of it, because that might be a service or an expense that people would write off, but actually is proven to be pretty lucrative and useful to you. It's good, just in the benefits that like I make sure that my cover photo on my page is updated every single month, so customers, when they're landing on the page, they see something different. And it would always say Leicestershire's largest reptile shop, 5-star awarded, etc., and that's normally what it will kind of theme on, but the pictures and stuff will be different on there all the time, and that's kind of what you want to show diversification and stuff like that as well. I've attended multiple social media seminars and stuff like that as well of how to interact with your audiences and stuff like that, so it is good to have. But honestly, if anyone is thinking about obviously working with a social agency or anything like that, or any marketing agency, in fact, then just speak to them, see if they've got any. Well, thankfully, the marketing team that we work with, they actually know quite a bit about reptiles, actually, which is quite good. So the bloke that runs our social campaigns owns reptiles, so amazing. So he knows what a vivarium is. It's great. So it's that kind of thing. Like, it's just, you got to speak to the right people and just make sure that you have the ambitions and stuff to do it and stuff. And well, I mean, we plunge stupid money into our advertising. It might not go anywhere, but I mean, it's definitely been seen by people. Well, I think it's fine. I mean, look, the video that's produced with the Slytherin, with it, ready for something new or whatever it's. Yeah, the little toys munching onto an edible flowers. And I think that's a great video. Lovely looking, looks really slick. And I think that you're right about content and mixing it up. And it's good because, like, me, Pixie and Becky have all got different things that we do. And so the content it changes, and it will pick up different people. And like you say, the memes are really useful. People think they're stupid or vacuous. Well, actually, as a business owner, all you're trying to do is get engagement. So you're trying to create reach, you're trying to create engagement, and then you start to hit people that will come and physically visit the store.
but you want them to be more inclined to spread what your next message might be, which would be then something that could be a more serious note, or a sales post, or a cool picture of actual stock in store. And it isn't a dirty word to use a meme, or to try and be light-hearted and fun and, you know, have a bit of pep. It doesn't all need to be super strict. I mean, I do educational videos, as you know, for the YouTube channel, but the whole of my output on snakes and adders cannot just be wall-to-wall educational videos. One, because researching them's a royal pain in the ass.
Yes,
I can imagine.
I've seen the effort you go into with those videos, and it mind boggles me to think that obviously how long that takes you to prepare and stuff. And to be fair, mate, as well, I'm not going to lie to you. I literally, if my staff want to know about something, I'm like, yeah, go check out one of Chaz's videos. So he's pretty much covered it, mate. And then what we'll do then is we'll have a meeting on that species again and make sure you've nailed it 100%. So in terms of like an educational tool for my team, you're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, brilliant.
But it's hard to maintain, is the point. So you need those quick, snappy little bits that can go up in between, that fill up the feed. You know, as much as like it's interesting for the hobbyists that are watching this, or the breeders that are watching this, that maybe don't really know exactly what goes on with shops. And I think like we're going to see so many different personalities as this series continues, and then attitudes towards shops, then the attitude towards doing their business. And it's great because it's like such a rich vein of being human. Like we're all different, and like there is compatibility and then there's incompatibility, and it isn't that it's wrong, it's just that it's not for you. And I'm finding stuff so interesting listening to you, even though, like I said, I've been doing it 23 years, and I'm sat here thinking to myself, shit, why didn't I think of that? Shit, why didn't I think of that? You know, I've done that at least maybe 1,000 times during the course of this video, and I'm not threatened by it. I'm energized by it. And I would encourage everybody else to be energized by it, because, you know, a missed opportunity can still be claimed at a later date. It doesn't mean that it's gone. It means you can still be dynamic and learn a way to become dynamic. I mean, the hobby is always changing. And how do you think that the hobby has changed since you started? Has it changed for better or for worse? And maybe an example of what's good and what's bad in the hobby.
I think, yeah, most definitely. So I think from where I started, it was always the old T8 lighting systems and stuff, and I had them, and then put in my dragon's enclosure the typical 10% T8 light and whatever. There was no reflector or anything like that in there, but yeah, I've got UV and they were vinyls. That's everything I need to do and whatever. That's fine. The old compact bloody UVBs and stuff like that as well. And I think the technology in reptiles and really kind of beginning to understand them, the idea of Ferguson zones and what actual different wavelengths of heat do for a reptile, and the benefits that has for them and stuff, and people actually wanting to understand that, not just thinking I need a heat bulb, I'm going to buy the cheapest heat bulb that I can get, but understanding my reptile will benefit from having a deep heat protector or some kind of other heating system, and then understanding that that's what people want to do. They want to look at progressing care. I think that's something I've seen a lot more over the transition of running this company, is how people want to progress their enclosures and stuff like that anyway. And they customers come in and they now ask me questions on what Ferguson zone is it? I've been looking on this Chameleon forum. Do I put my 12% UVB bulb on top or underneath the mesh at 12%? And I'm like, on top. And then we kind of go through it like that. And it's just kind of, I think the knowledge base that people are building is a lot better. And the way that the lighting systems are working, the heating system, the way the whole industry is working is a lot better for pioneering that reptiles benefit. I mean, snakes and UVB, like insane. I was in a shop in Leicester when I approached the shop owner when I was only a young lad and said, my male royal python is not eating. He said, stick a UV light in there, Baiden. I went, what? I was like, he won't see the UV light, mate. He is in a hide like all the time, and he'll come out when the bloody light's off. What's the point? So I was like, nah, not doing that. So then the week later, I got fed him again, didn't he? I thought, right, you know what? I'm going to listen to him, and I am going to put the UV light in. So walked in, bought the old T8 UV light and the massive controller units that come with them that get really hot, and then I got them, fitted it all in, plugged it all in. I thought, oh, I can see him now. He's all right. Gave him his enclosure a bit of a change around, which made me want to progress his enclosure because I could actually see in it. It wasn't this dark void, 4x2 vid. So I was like, great, let's get him in. And then, so rejigged and stuff, put the snake in, thought, right, he hasn't ate for like 8 weeks now. So I'm going to see if he eats or not. And then, fed him a normal large wiener rat, and he took it straight away like he'd never been fed before. And from there on out, I was like, right, that's it, mate. All the snakes are getting it, the corns are getting it, the royals are getting it, the boas are getting it. So, and that was it. I literally just slowly looked at kind of, after that one scenario, looked at kind of improving my own kind of standards of keeping them and giving the snakes UVB and stuff. And then that is it. And then all this obviously new technology is coming around, which allows you to progress things more. And bioactive keeping was always something I've always been interested in. I've always had the odd little bioactive tank and stuff knocking around, but understanding obviously the whole concept of it, from the lighting, what the plants do and what the animals' interactions are with the environment and stuff. And you can now have all these crazy misting systems that are now on hydrostats, and you can link up your entire room with one misting system. It's absolutely insane. Like, you didn't get that 5 years ago. It's not a thing. So, but understanding how things, where it's going to be in the next like 5-10 years, I really don't know. It's going to be quite exciting to see.
The speed of progression is really impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in the hobby, like, you know, the level of understanding. Yeah, I mean, there are factions that are going to lag behind through their own choices, but for those, particularly shops, I think shops have got to be mindful to try and stay current. And if they don't stay current, you get left behind. And potentially that shop that you were doing your little concession stand in originally, she was of the model pet shop 1985 and didn't want to progress beyond 1985. And the fact that you, at some point
it wasn't no good anyway. It was one of those two. The example is the kind of model that they have.
Yeah, they're not, they get comfy and then they get lazy, and then rather than accept and embrace new technology, they'd sooner take the piss out of it and not do it, because that's easier than facing up to the fact, shit, I actually need to do some reading because science has moved on, and what I understood to be the case now isn't, and we need to keep up. And I think that's a perennial challenge, and it can be difficult because you just set up one thing and then you go, shit, now I've got to
change it all again.
Change that. Like, and I mean, prior to this energy crisis, cost of living crisis, we were going to do a full shop fit because the shop fit is old. My shop's battered. It's 15 years old now and it needs redoing. But I can't plow 25-30 grand into the shop at this period in time because we just don't know what's around the corner, is the honest answer. But they all need to go onto their UVs and halogens and everything else because that's what's necessary now, you know, whether it's a snake, lizard or whatever else. And it's one of those where it's frustrating because you want to make the changes. I think sometimes customers need to be aware that shops can't just about face 180. We're sat on stock. It's got to be sold before you can make that change. So as dynamic as we want to be, we can't always quite be as dynamic as we would like to be because, well, we're a business.
Yeah, you need to have the stock to sell it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've got no money. So
yeah, I can't just throw a grand away. You know, it doesn't work like that. What do you think is been a bad change in the hobby? Have you seen any? Do you even acknowledge any negativity?
Yeah, I do. I change in the hobby I see is obviously people getting into it and obviously having that pure passion for the reptiles, then becoming what I would class as obsessive, but in just collecting and getting way too much stuff than you need to, or getting your head way too deep into things than you can actually have or afford. And then you're coming back in here saying, oh, I don't need it anymore, or I've now changed it for this. And the kind of swap away nature for reptiles is not what I like. I don't like talking to customers about it. I don't like people trading things off. I think if you're going to buy a reptile solely for a pet, different circumstances, if it's potentially a breeding project or whatever, then but if you're just trading reptiles off and saying, right, I've done this species of monitor, and then I've done the next one and the next one and the next one, but you've not had them for more than a year, and like these animals are just like, you take a typical iguana, the amount of customers I have with iguanas, is insane. Like, it's the same kind of thing that they just get passed around from pillar to post. The bearded
Yeah.
dragons do. Like, we massively slowed down the sale of bearded dragons in
Yeah.
our shops. We had like 150 at one point. Like,
Yeah.
and then we're lucky enough now to have, like, on the shop floor, there's 2.
Yeah.
There's 2.
Yeah.
Reason being is because not everyone needs a bearded dragon. And if you wanted a bit, well, we did an entire 6 months of no bearded dragons. And it was, if you want a bearded dragon, rehome one.
Yes.
And then you get these numpties. I mean, I've had some bearded dragons dropped off to me. Literally, they're like this big. They could fit on a teaspoon, and we're now having to raise these up. We've got 14 little dragons that we have to raise up now because the people that had them can't sell them or whatever. They've got another clutch coming and stuff, so they just dumped them on me. And I think that kind of thing, and obviously the rehome work and stuff that we've done over the last 6 months has really helped. We've not had stuff in that I want to have, like an adult corn snake, granted. And if anyone rings me about turtles again, I swear to God, because it's literally, I have a turtle. Do you want to take a turtle on? I don't do anything with aquatics. I am so sorry, mate, but here's a number for this or whatever. Or I have customers that have had these chameleons and stuff from me for years, and they ring me saying, "Oh, I've got to get rid of it because a 100-watt heat lamp's costing me too much money, and it's on a thermostat, so it's not using anything anyway, but I still need to get rid of it because it's just using electric." And I'm like,
really?
If the price of dog food goes up a little bit, are you going to be tempted to get rid of your dog? That's the thing. I kind of look at it and think there is that throwaway with reptile value and stuff. I have so many, myself, my staff, so many dedicated customers and friends of ours love their reptiles like they do every other pet. Seeing the people that come here and the nasty side of the hobby where people just throw them away, it's heart-wrenching. And although we're not in the game to be a rescue facility and to be that kind of shoulder to cry on for someone when they come into that kind of issue, that's not really our job. But to help where we can is the best thing to do.
You actually rehome and take in rescues and surrenders. And has demand increased?
Oh, mate, 100%. I think every single reptile shop can vouch for the amount of phone calls, messages about people wanting to give up these animals and stuff like that as well. And the only thing I would always say to them is I always try and ask them what's kind of led you to this, if you don't mind me asking. And normally the majority of people that come in, they bring these animals to me, they are relatively quite disheartened to be getting rid of it. It's personal circumstances, etc., whatever. It's normally landlords that are the problem, and people, they don't check with their landlord. They go and buy a reptile from someone. They then buy a tegu or whatever from somewhere, and then the landlord finds out you've got a tegu. It's now 3 foot long. Can't get rid of it. I can't have it. I don't have the space for a 3-4 foot tegu. Not a chance, mate. I've got little baby ones in my shop. I've got to try and sell to people that know they're going to need an 8-foot viv. But now your landlord says you've got to get rid of it. You're now stressed because you're going to potentially get kicked out of your house because you've got a bloody animal you shouldn't have. So the only thing I would say to anyone, if you're looking at getting an animal, just double check. You're allowed to have it and whatever. But I think that's where a lot of it stems from. And also just research is the key thing, like anyone could ever have.
The hobby faces a lot of threats and challenges. How do you think the hobby can adapt and navigate this? And do you consider the hobby to be well represented?
Well-represented hobby. I think the more the shops kind of clam together and want to work together, I think the more positive outlook we're going to see on the way that the industry forms. I think obviously there is a monopoly with who controls the reptile industry anyway, and making sure that obviously every kind of opinions and stuff, obviously the work that you've done over the periods through the cost of living crisis and stuff has been truly inspirational to see. Obviously a fellow reptile shop owner producing these documents and stuff to help other reptile shop owners. It kind of gives you that kind of clarification of knowing, okay, right, this is what's currently happening, this is what we need to do, rather than just kind of seeing this air kind of illuminating bubble of going, oh, this is what might happen, we don't know. And kind of just giving you kind of straight talking facts, and that's the way I am, that's the way I like things to be. I don't like speculation or just kind of like guaranteed fact. But yeah, I think we are going to be on. We have got some troubling times ahead. But I think what we'll do is, I think with everyone pulling together, working, and just understanding this is probably just a really horrible storm that we've all got to kind of just weather through. Yeah. And then we should hopefully see the nice, good, sunny shine in Barbados once again.
Yeah. Hunker down and just crack on. You just got to keep your head down and keep moving forward, haven't you? That's all you can do.
Yes.
That's all you can do.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think we're about at 2 hours. So, you know,
that's flew past. Yeah. Hope everyone's still enjoying it.
You know, actually, I've had a really easy time. I've not really had to say much because you segued so beautifully between each of the questions that actually there was very little interjection that I needed to make. Hey. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I honestly, you know, it's an education, and I like to reiterate, the different shops are they're every shape and size, sex, color, creed. You know, we're going to run the gambit through this series, and we're going to hear so many different versions of what effectively is the same story, and you can almost guarantee that no story will be the same. I mean, you haven't had any natural disasters like Jordan from the last.
No, I've had no flooding, no one threw nothing into my shop.
You're positively boring compared to Jordan. Yes. But then, you know, you were basically supplying your own college at 16 years old with their live food. So you know, it's just insane, and that's what I love about this series. I think it's going to be great. But so I'm going to do the outro now. So thank you ever so much for listening. I really, really appreciate you spending the time with us. I really want to thank Baiden for the time he's given us today. We have done it during the day, during his working day. So, I do appreciate the sacrifice of time. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel and subscribe to see further videos. And then you'll also be able to like and share via Facebook. But for now, from me and Baiden, it is goodbye. See you later.
See you later. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.